Welcome back to the Chicago Bears News Network. I'm your host, as always, Michael Halatek, coming to you live from Halatek Hall. As you can see behind me, it's the old name of the old show that I used to host. And we're going to talk today. We're talking schedules, man. 2026 schedule, the Bears schedule, opening night surprises, international games, primetime games, holiday games, you name it. And of course, as always, joining me, my good friend, Stevie Pusch. Stevie, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, as good as can be. How about yourself?
Doing okay. Had a nice day off. Took it slow. Went worked out. Hit the sauna. Nice and refreshed today. So it's all good, man. For those of you that are regulars of our show, we are also joined most often by Drew Cole. Drew is a brand new father. He's got a baby girl, and if the baby's schedule permits, he might join us. But as you can see, he has not been. He is not on the show, and he has not been for the last couple of shows. And we wish him all the best in his new position as Papa.
Papa Drew.
Papa Drew. Yeah, when he comes on, that's how I think we'll introduce him for the first time.
Yeah.
Hey, the 2026 schedule finally got released last week. And it started off. I'm gonna take a step back. Why have a schedule release show when schedules are leaked all week long? It makes no sense to me. In fact, the Chicago Bears video of the schedule release with Romo Dunze doing his best imitation of
It was pretty good.
It was pretty decent. I
Bob
can't
Ross.
the guy's name on
Bob Ross. The joy of painting.
Yeah, the painting. he did a nice job. But you know what? That hit my email because I'm on the season ticket waiting list. Mm-hmm. And I posted it to our chat session before the NFL schedule release show even started last week. That's just crazy to me. If you're gonna have a schedule release the schedule and then have everybody do their thing.
Right, but I mean, with the NFL, what they love to do, and it's comical because this is where Drew would. This is one of Drew's jumping off points too, is how the NFL runs its PR. The schedule release day, as a kid for me, was just some random day in April, and you'd hit refresh on the NFL.com's page or the Chicago Bears page, the Green Bay Packers page, and then it would show up, no big announcement. It would just be like, hey, guess what? The schedule released today. This is who the teams are playing. It'd be like a 1 minute segment on newscast. Maybe a Sports Center would do like a 5 minute segment breaking down the whole schedule. But now it's kind of lost its, like for traditional NFL fans, it's lost its luster because the main reason why the networks hype this up is because they know that not everyone's on Twitter, not everyone's on social media, but they can say, oh my God, hey, guess what? You can find out what games we're announcing tomorrow. And maybe you might know something before someone else knows something. And for someone that loves schedule leaks like myself, this one was very lackadaisical because, just the hype of it all just felt so contrived, or I don't know if contrived is the right word. Basically, it was a Fox hype. Like, oh my God, this is so organic, but it's not really that organic, that type of thing. And you kind of knew you kind of knew all the big games were going to get leaked before Thursday at 7 p.m. So that kind of takes it away. And like, I'll probably save this rant for a little bit later on the podcast tonight. But there's so many things that the NFL is doing wrong from a scheduling standpoint right now, just to make big money. That's really it's going to come back to bite the product of the game and the fans, how the fans view the NFL in 5, 10 years, probably.
The money grab with
Yes.
Netflix and,
Yes.
and Amazon and is it Paramount? I don't
The great thing about
YouTube.
Paramount is like Paramount's been the last one, and they have the most content so far. They don't have the most original content, but they have so many networks under the Paramount and Viacom umbrella that they have content galore. So they might not be forced to do what Netflix does or YouTube does. I mean, people forget that Netflix, for the longest time, they've been in debt, buying up potential, investing. They've invested so much money that they're never going to see a return on investment. But if they keep on investing money, sooner or later, they want to be in every household. They want to make sure everyone has a Netflix account and that you can't live without Netflix, which is understandable. It's a business. But, for NFL fans that grew up just having to watch CBS, Fox, NBC, and ABC to now where you could still watch CBS, Fox, and ABC, but now you have to have 5 other streaming platforms to watch a game that week. You're kind of milking the cow dry, and that cow is the NFL fans' love of football.
I'm just going to say one word. It sounds like 2, but it's one word. It's Superbox.
Yeah.
I'm
going to be buying one this year, probably.
I have a Superbox, and I believe there are 4. I live in Wisconsin, as most of you all know. There are, so my TV comes from the Madison, Wisconsin market. That's the channels that I get. And there are 4 times this year where the Bears and the Packers are playing on the same network at the same time. Mm-hmm. So obviously, I have a setup. I have a nice size TV that's right in front of me right now. I'm watching the Cubs and the Brewers play. And then I bring out a little 36-inch flat screen and put it underneath that TV, and I hook up the Superbox to that. And I can watch the Bears game with the volume up, and I can watch the Packer game up on the big screen. And that way I never miss a play. And I've been doing that, I don't know, for several years. And if you hang on for 1 second.
Well, Mike's taking care of something. You good there?
I'm here. Fire away.
I didn't know how long you were going to go, so I was going to go on a little tangent of my own while you were out of the picture, but we can save that tangent for a little bit later.
I have it right here. If I can get the damn thing out of the box. This is it. That's all it is.
Man, I thought I've seen other super boxes that were a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, this is it. This is, as you can see, super box. And this thing literally works great. I had the benefit of finding on YouTube somebody talking about Superbox and because you have to download apps in order to watch TV. And
right.
The app that you download, and then there's another one that you can watch shows up to 2 days in arrears. Mm-hmm. So you can't record off of this box, but you can go back and watch this that you wanted to see but didn't get a chance to. And it works absolutely. It's fire. It works great. So I'm so glad it was like, it's like $300. It's $300, $400, depending on the unit. And literally, if you have a Walmart app, you can go to Walmart, the Walmart app, search for Superbox, and you can get it directly through Walmart and get shipped right to your house.
Tonight's podcast has been brought to you by the letter S for Superbox and the letter W for Walmart.
And we haven't even talked about tick splits in a while, but anyway,
Yeah.
we started the season. Everybody, I mean everybody, you, me, Drew, every sports commentator on X that I saw, there was one game that was going to start the year. And that, of course, was Seattle hosting Chicago in the opening game, which happens to fall on a Wednesday this year. And we'll get to the reason why in just a little bit. But the scheduling gods pulled a change up on everybody and decided for some unknown reason that they would much rather have a Super Bowl rematch on opening night. So the Patriots are traveling to Seattle to get beat by the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. And what I'll say is, like, even Adam Schefter, Adam Schefter within 24 hours to the schedule release on Wednesday of last week, said it himself. He said more than likely it's going to be Bears and Seahawks. On paper, that's a terrific matchup. You have the up-and-coming Bears coming off a terrific season where they won the NFC North Division championship, going up against the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Seattle Seahawks. You have a terrific offense versus a terrific defense. And everyone was like, hey, this is going to be it. This is the big game to kick us all off. And not to take anything away from the New England Patriots, but I mean, there's that little thing that happened with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini that, from an NFL, this gets back to the NFL PR as well. From an NFL PR standpoint, I don't know if you could have picked a more riskier game out of all the games that you had left for Seattle to open their season against, because God forbid if someone else comes out and says, hey, I had an affair with Mike Vrabel, and the Patriots have to, unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate if that does happen, given the circumstances, have to move on from Mike Vrabel. You think about the nightmare headlines that overshadow the first game of the 2026 NFL season. From an insurance policy standpoint, I don't know how you went from a perfectly safe matchup where the Bears are a top 3 team in NFL viewership every year, especially when they play in prime time, to say, you know what, let's go for the Super Bowl rematch. Yes, on paper, a Super Bowl rematch sounds sexy, but after what happened with the Patriots in last year's Super Bowl, and then what happened this offseason with Mike Vrabel, it didn't make sense for the NFL to say, hey, this is going to be our first game of the 2026 season and kick us all off. Because I guarantee you, from now until week of kickoff week, there's going to be a lot of nervous people at NFL headquarters checking updates just to make sure that nothing's coming out about the Patriots and Mike Vrabel after what happened earlier this year.
It is. I just don't understand that game. It absolutely makes no sense.
I get it. It's a Super Bowl rematch. You have Drake May. You have a better New England Patriots offense. It's a cross-country game. You're still going to get a good market with the Boston market. But the problem, and the thing is, those games do good numbers anyway. Just from a PR standpoint, that pisses me off. From you're leaving yourself open to a nightmare situation where if something happens, something else comes out about Mike Vrabel and he's let go, no one is going to be talking about the actual game at hand. They're going to be asking what went on in the Patriots organization where they didn't know Vrabel was doing this stuff, and they could say, yeah, we didn't see it coming and stuff like that, and maybe they didn't, but the NFL won't be able to say we didn't see it coming by saying, yeah, this could have been a risk for us, but we decided to gamble anyway if it turns bad.
Absolutely. The following night or Friday morning,
Mhm.
as it is in Australia, is the first of a record 9 international games. So we're going to go through the international schedule because there's a ton of good games on the international slate. San Francisco and the Rams. That was immediately when that came out. They're playing in Australia on Thursday. It'll be at 8:30 p.m. It'll be a Friday morning game in Australia. But the 49ers, the LA Rams are the designated home team for that particular game.
The Rams are, or the 49ers are?
The Rams are the designated home team.
Okay.
So that is interesting because San Francisco, and we'll get to that at the end of the international slate, is the designated home team for yet another international game, which kind of, usually you only see Jacksonville having 2, and they usually are stacked back to back because they're in England, and they lose 2 home games, but that's a deal that they made back when they weren't drawing very well. And they stepped up and made an agreement with the NFL to go over to England and play a couple of games overseas every year. But San Francisco at the Rams in Australia, that's going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, it's a great game. It should be played in the United States, though. I mean, and look, I've got nothing against playing international games, but you got to cap it at like 4 or 5 at most. You're going to read off 9 different games, and how many different countries they're playing? They're playing Germany, Brazil, Australia,
Paris,
Mexico,
England,
Paris.
Germany.
Yeah, and sooner or later, it's going to come back to bite the NFL in the ass on this. Whether, we talked about it last year where I think it was the Steelers-Vikings game where the Steelers' backup quarterback got mugged the night before the game. And, with more international games, you're putting people's safety at risk. And I'm not against traveling international, but at the same time, the one question you have to ask is like, how many games is too many? Because there's going to, again, this comes back to a liability standpoint. And I see my fan base has started up. So thank you for.
They've already started. They're early this time.
Additionally, you're robbing fans of being able to go to different locations. For example, Eagles fans that wanted to go to Jacksonville this year can't do it. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles have not played in Jacksonville against the Jaguars since 2010. And now Eagles fans will have to wait to 2034 at the earliest to go to Jacksonville because with intra-conference matchups, you only visit a city once every 8 years.
Unless it's the odd game in the 17-game schedule. And
yes,
that would
but
be 2 years.
That game could go overseas as well because that's what the Bears did when they were the host team against the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024.
Yep, you're exactly right. So 2 years from now, if it was Jacksonville as the odd team out, they would actually go to Philadelphia because Philadelphia, on even years, the NFC has the extra game at home. So even then, they get, Philadelphia fans get screwed. They can't go to Jacksonville for a nice warm weekend. All right. Yeah, so that game is on September 10th. September 27th, they're back at it. This is the Rio game, but it's another good one. It's Baltimore and Dallas. Dallas is the designated home team.
In Brazil.
In Brazil. So that, and most, aside from Jacksonville, who always has 2 home games designated in London, every NFC team, there's an NFC team that's losing a home game. So the next one is in Tottenham on October 4th. The first of 4 October international games, and it's Washington hosting the Colts, and that could be a
It
good
could
game
be.
depending on Indianapolis's quarterback situation.
Yes.
If Jones
I
comes
don't
back
know.
healthy
Yeah,
from his Achilles, that could be a hell of a game.
it can be, but I still wonder if Daniel Jones's performance last year was a fluke. And that's nothing against Daniel Jones. He when he started his career in New York with the New York Giants, he did play well for the first few years, and then as his years in New York progressed, his performance regressed, unfortunately, and he had a rejuvenation in Indianapolis last year. Let's see if that can carry over to this year once he's healthy.
Absolutely. Now we get into the back-to-back games for Jacksonville on
Hmm.
the 11th and the 18th. They host Philadelphia. We've already talked about that, and then they have to go back over to Wembley. They're playing in different stadiums, which kind of makes no sense to me on that regard either. But they're hosting the Houston Texans,
Hmm.
and that could be an interesting game, especially since all of a sudden Jacksonville decided to be good, last year, and which I'm going to take a little bit of a segue here, Stevie, because everybody is making a lot of clamor about how tough the Bears' schedule is, strength of schedule wise.
Hmm.
And let's take a look at this. So imagine last year, and would have been impossible to do because of the teams involved. But let's just say that on your schedule that was announced in May of last year, you had Chicago, you had Jacksonville, you had Denver, you had Carolina, and did I say Denver? So
You did.
okay, so
You got
Denver,
four.
Indianapolis,
Hmm.
okay, and if you had those 5-6 teams on your schedule, you're thinking, man, cakewalk,
Yeah.
okay, and they all made except for the Coles who stumbled after Jones went down. They all made the playoffs. Oh, the Patriots is the other one.
Yes.
So could you imagine that cakewalk schedule that everybody thought you would have had would have been a killer schedule?
Yeah.
So I absolutely put no stock in strength of schedule because every year is different.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the beauty. That's the one thing I love about the schedule release is because it's not about who you play. You already know who you're going to play in 2026.
Yep.
Right after after the last gun goes off to end the season, you already know, okay, these are the final division standings. We finished in fourth place. So did the Texans. So the Chiefs are playing the Texans next year because of the way the matchups line up.
That's
But
right.
it all depends on who you play and when you play them. That's the beauty about the schedule. And I can't wait to discuss the Bears schedule because I really do love how this schedule, even though the Bears have a very tough strength of schedule, this schedule was almost perfect for the Bears and giving them an ability to repeat as NFC North champions in 2026.
Spoiler alert: the Bears are going to start the season 4-0. Which we'll
let's
get into that. But
let's not jinx it yet.
yeah, October 25th, Pittsburgh and New Orleans. And that's the Paris game.
Yes, and that's one of the games I kind of wish was at the Superdome because I know Steeler fans love traveling to Nolens. Nolens is a great place for any NFL fans to make a weekend getaway to go see their teams play in New Orleans.
Absolutely. It's almost now that Vegas is a prime time weekend spot to go to,
Hmm.
Vegas or New Orleans was probably one of the top places to go.
Yep.
And they end up losing a home game this year. The next game is the Madrid-Spain game. And we're now into the second week of November, November 8th, where Atlanta is hosting. And a lot of people thought that this was going to also be a game that Chicago was going to play in, but they're ending up playing Cincinnati. And this is a lot like Kansas City a couple years ago, where Kansas City was playing overseas and
against the Bears.
They nixed Kansas City, nixed the game being Chicago, because they did not want to lose all of the revenue that Chicago fans brought into Kansas City. And Atlanta pulled that same trump card with the league this time around, because we all know how well the Bears fans travel. And
yes.
There's no way on earth that I don't think it'll be a small miracle if the Bears are a visiting team overseas in a while.
And here's the thing. So the Bears' road schedule this year, there's 2 games where that stick out to me where it's like, yeah, those are going to be the games that Bears fans are going to travel to. It's going to be Atlanta and Miami. People would say, oh, why not Buffalo late in the year? Bear fans are going to want to go to
because it's late in the year.
Yeah, they're not going to want. Oh, hey, it's 30 degrees here. Let me go to Buffalo where it's 15 degrees colder, and you might get a foot of snow dumped on you. Yeah,
exactly. All right, we have 2 more games we have to talk about. Detroit has to play on November 15th, and then a week and a half later, they're back in town playing the Bears on Thanksgiving, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the Patriots are playing Detroit, and that game is
in Germany, I think.
That's the Germany game.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the Vikings have to travel on November 22nd. So that would be the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now playing San Francisco. So San Francisco gets to play on 3 different Mexico isn't exactly on a continent. It's in Central America. But 3 different countries they're playing in. And
the amazing part is like that's another game where it's like Minnesota and San Francisco. That game is usually a huge viewership game because of the history between the teams, especially the late 80s when the Vikings and 49ers would constantly meet, not constantly, but every now and then would meet in the NFL playoffs.
In the playoffs.
And that purple versus red matchup is very, very pleasing from a visual standpoint. And Viking fans, like, for instance, I'm pretty sure Minnesota fans would have loved to have been able to travel San Francisco in late November for a weekend getaway trip.
One of the things that now that we're done talking about the international slate, I want to go back to the very first game, which is San Francisco being the visitor to LA.
Mm-hmm.
LA loves the fact that San Francisco fans aren't going to be absolutely bombarding SoFi Stadium.
Right.
So this is more of a neutral site where it would be a home away from home game for the 49ers.
And that's the amazing thing. Like, I'm surprised that the NFL decided to do this too, because, as much as Australian fans love football, it's going to be such a neutral game because, Ram fans aren't going to be traveling to Australia when they can't even show up to their own stadium. And 49er fans, and 49er fans, you're kind of pitching them a little bit because, hey, we could go to either Mexico City, which is a little bit closer, or Australia. Which one would we rather go? One, you've got a huge jet lag. The other one, you don't.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go into Monday Night Football. That'll be our next segment. And I'm sorry. I hate this first matchup. It's Denver and Kansas City. And for some ungodly reason, they gave the home game to Kansas City. And the reason I hate this matchup, number one, the Broncos deserve to have this game at home.
They do.
Because of their record. Number two, we have no idea if Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready.
Nor do you know if Bo Nix is going to be ready.
More of a likelihood that Nix will be ready.
Right, but you're
absolutely right. Daniel Jones, Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, all three of those quarterbacks have a big if attached to their names for opening day. But probably, we just got Andy Reid saying that Patrick Mahomes is working out 7 hours a day to try to be ready. And, I'm sorry. I mean, Gale Sayers in 1968 blew up his knee. All three ligaments were ripped.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a game in November of 68. And he came back and played the entire season of 69 and led the entire league in rushing.
I think he only had the longest rush. His longest rush of the season was 20 yards too, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but it was one of the most grittiest performances by a running back I've ever seen. I think, was it Adrian Peterson that came back in under a year from his ACL?
I think he tore his ACL in early December against the Ravens that season. It was either the first or second week of December, and he was back. But I mean, you're dealing with the best quarterback, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. Why would you want to rush him back?
Exactly.
And the other question is, for the NFL, why would you want to put that pressure, on both teams to rush their quarterbacks back? I mean, I from a PR standpoint, I'm getting on the NFL's case about putting Patriots, Seahawks for the first game. From a roster construction standpoint and a roster matchup standpoint, why would you want a potential Justin Fields versus Stidham's the backup quarterback for the Broncos, right? Jared Stidham. Why would you want that to be your Monday night game?
Justin Fields and Stidham as your starting quarterbacks. What a great way to start your Monday night lineup. The Giants travel to the Rams. So the Rams play on Thursday night, USA time, and then they still get an extra day of rest and play Monday night, their home opener against the New York Giants.
And I'm surprised that the Giants are getting that much run early on in prime time, just solely because of John Harbaugh being the new coach. I mean,
that is the main reason. That is
which is dumb. Which is so dumb. I get it. Big name head coach is an attractive thing for fans to want to see. But there's a good chance that the Giants start 0-2, and Jackson Dart, I'm going to start calling him the pinball wizard because he gets bounced around like a freaking pinball. There's a chance that team starts 0-2. Jackson Dart doesn't look good in prime time, and why? That's the thing is why there's no need to put the Giants out there that early.
No argument here. No argument at all. The Bears finally land on prime time on week 3, Monday night, when they host the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for those of you if you have short memories, Chicago went into Philadelphia and their offensive line absolutely manhandled Philadelphia's defensive front. And I think they ran for 400 yards that week. No, they didn't, but it was over 200, and it was absolutely a no contest.
That was the first time since '85 that the Bears had 2 100-yard rushers in the same game, too.
It was. You're absolutely right. Week 4, the Falcons and the Saints in New Orleans on October 5th. On paper, that's not much of a matchup, but Atlanta and New Orleans always play each other tough. And it should be, if anything, it should be a pretty decent game to watch.
Right. And the thing is not every Monday night game is going to be a home run hit. this isn't a bad one. And what I heard about earlier was one of the reasons why they picked this game to play around that time was for the 20th year anniversary of the 2006 Saints return to New Orleans when they reopened the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina.
Katrina, right?
That classic game where I forgot who the player was that blocked the punt that really got that Saints season off and running for the touchdown.
That play is one of the most iconic plays in the history of Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So now we go to week 5, Buffalo. Again, the Rams are on prime time once again. They host the Buffalo Bills on October 12th. And that could be another hell of a game.
That will be, because I believe that they actually did play each other back in 2024, and that was a very, very good high scoring shootout.
Week 6, the Washington Commanders have to. So this is again where an East Coast team travels all the way back out west to play San Francisco in prime time on week 6. And I don't know, just kind of looking at that game, if Lamar's not right, and he hasn't been right for a long time.
So Washington or Baltimore?
This is going to be. Oh, I'm sorry, Jaden Daniel.
Jaden Daniels, okay.
Yeah, 49ers. I think that's going to be at least a 2-score victory for the 49ers.
It's actually, yeah, but I mean, I chalk up what happened last year with Jaden just to be a fluke thing, because he just had so many bad luck injuries per se throughout the year.
So we got week 7, the Cowboys in a classic NFC East matchup. The Cowboys travel and play the Eagles, so they're back on Monday Night Football. After only 3 weeks. What else can you say? Cowboys and Eagles. That's going to be a hell of a matchup.
That's going to be it's going to be a top 5 viewed game for Monday Night Football this year. I guarantee it.
And then week 8. This is the game that should have been played on opening night. The Bears travel to Seattle on November 2nd to take on the Seattle Seahawks. And, I like the fact that this is the only time that the Bears travel outside of the Central Time Zone or the East Time Zone.
Central Time. No, so this is the only time they'll play in the West Coast Time Zone, I believe.
There are only 2 teams in the league that travel fewer miles over the course of a year than Chicago does. And I think they're like around 6,500 miles total travel. I don't know if that's each, round trip or just one way, but it's nice to see the Bears not having to travel as much as they have in the past. So Bears and Seahawks, November 2nd, write it down. The Buffalo Bills now on week 9 are on prime time once again, traveling up to Minnesota, and Minnesota is an enigma to me.
Yes, they are.
Is it going to be JJ? Is it going to be Kyler? Who knows? And this is a game that confidence is like a 12th man on a field. No question about it in my mind. If a team playing with confidence can overcome adversity a lot better than a team that doesn't have that confidence. And if Minnesota gets off to a strong start, this could be a very entertaining game. But if not, this could be a long, long night for Vikings fans.
Yes, it can be.
Week 10, Chargers. Here's a West Coast team traveling east for once on the schedule. The Chargers are in Baltimore to take on the Ravens. And that's a good matchup. I like San Diego. I like them a lot. I don't is Justin Herbert ever gonna have a playoff win? And the Baltimore Ravens, once they get to the playoffs, they seem to collapse.
Yes.
So this is
it's a good game on paper. It's a good playoff game that might not be a playoff game. Not saying that both teams aren't playoff contenders, but just that you won't see you might not see them play in the playoffs against one another.
So we have the Bengals in Week 11 traveling up to Washington to take on the Commanders. That could be a hell of a game.
That one will be a good one. That will also be the game where a rematch game, because the last time the two teams played each other was 2 years ago on Monday Night Football.
Why are you wearing a Dolphin sweatshirt?
Well, when we get to the Bears portion of the schedule, I will explain why. As most people know that watch the show, I do, and I know who reached out, and thank you, Steve, for watching the show and supporting the show and being a big fan of mine. But I do collect a lot of retro NFL sweaters. I kind of felt that I was wearing one too many Bears themed apparel shirts. So I thought I'd change it up because I just bought this one last week.
Yeah, see, I'm too close to the camera. Actually, my Bears sweatshirt that I'm wearing, hoodie that I'm wearing, has the good, better, best on the back. So it's one of the nicest. It's lined. It's a nice sweatshirt. Panthers at Buccaneers, Week 12. It's a game. I'm not.
Those games, the Panthers Bucks is kind of becoming a sneaky good rivalry matchup because they played some close games over the last few years.
The Seahawks at home once again in prime time. Dallas travels, and a lot of people are banking on Dallas this year. They have a decent offense when it's on. It's a decent. A lot of times it falters more than it's hot, and a lot of people are expecting the defense after our favorite defensive coordinator got fired out there. So that could be a hell of a game. And Week 13, if that defense is going to get it together after 12 weeks, they better have it together going into Seattle. We go back to the AFC, another Jacksonville game. Steelers, Pittsburgh travels to Jacksonville. So even though Philadelphia's fans can't go to Jacksonville, the other
Pennsylvania team can
gets to have people to go, and then
now what's the date on that game? Is that the week before the Bears Jaguars games? December, the week 13, December 6th game, I think.
We'll get into it in a moment. Let's see if I can pull that up, but I'll wait till later. We'll go back. We'll get there. Patriots travel to Kansas City, so that should be a hell of a matchup, and hopefully by then,
Mahomes isn't back. You might have some issues,
and he's healthy. That could be a real hell of a matchup. And then Week 16, you've got the Giants traveling to Detroit, and the Texans travel to Green Bay, which is kind of cruel for the team from Houston to go up to Green Bay.
They've done it before, because I remember recently. I remember that
27.
I do remember a Houston game where Houston played in Green Bay late in the season, most recently, and it was like a really cold game. It was really bad weather for the Texans. I remember that.
All right, now we'll go to Thursday nights. In Week 2, the Detroit Lions get to open up the new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. So that could be just a hell of a
against the Buffalo Bills.
Again, yep, Lions, Buffalo's first game at the new Highmark Stadium. just the pomp and circumstance surrounding that game should be a lot of fun to watch.
A lot of broken tables.
Yeah, there should be 1,000 cameras in the tailgate section in Buffalo. It'll be definitely fun to watch. The Falcons, and they have a hell of a defense. At least they did at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
They go up to Green Bay, so that's the beginning of week 3. Steelers on the road against Cleveland in week 4. So there is a lot of divisional matchups early on. Buccaneers at Cowboys to break that trend. Week 5, week 6 is Seattle against Denver. That'll be a hell of a game. Another inter-conference game. Week 7, Patriots travel to good old Soldier Field to play the Bears on October 22nd. And then
that'll be a good one.
Green Bay is back again on Thursday night. They're hosting Carolina on October 29th, so that'll be a hell of a game. Week 9 is Jacksonville against the Ravens. Commanders and Giants. In week 10, week 11 is AFC South matchup with the Colts and Texans. Broncos at Pittsburgh, week 12. The Chiefs with the Rams hosting them. Are the Rams like every single primetime matchup we've talked about? They've been the home team?
Almost. I mean, they're predicted to go to the Super Bowl this year. So
Vikings at Patriots. That'll be another hell of a game. That is December 10th. 49ers. I think the Chargers fans are a little bit better supporting their home team than the Rams, but they end up going to SoFi anyway. So San Francisco plays the Chargers at SoFi. Week 16 is the Texans traveling to Philadelphia. And then week 17 is Ravens against the Bengals. There is no week 18 Thursday night game. So that is the slate. Does any of those games really stand out besides the Bears and Patriots?
What I am surprised about is the fact that Green Bay is playing 2 Thursday night games against their NFC South opponents. Because I know like maybe one of those games would have made sense, but both those games, that's a real. I really haven't seen something like that since maybe 2006 when both the Bears' road games against NFC West opponents were on Monday Night Football. So that was a little scheduling quirk that drew my interest. The only big Thursday night game that really stands out was the one involving the Rams, you said. I forgot who you said. That and the San Francisco the 49ers Chargers game, that has a chance to be good. I think the big Thursday night game, and I don't know why we don't call it Thursday Night Football, even though it's on Thanksgiving, is going to be that Bills Chiefs game because the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, if he's back by then, and hopefully fully healthy, that quarterback rivalry has become something of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, basically. And I think that Thanksgiving night game has a chance to break records.
I think you're right. All right, Sunday night schedule. The Cowboys travel to travel to New Jersey to take on the Giants. And like we talked about earlier, I don't get all of these early primetime games for the Giants. I know it's the Jim Harbaugh factor, but it still makes no sense.
Well, the amazing thing about this is the fact that, other than honoring 9/11, which the NFL loves to do by putting the Giants in that window, there's no other reason to have this game in prime time because just a few years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, it was in 2024 or 2023, it was Cowboys Giants to kick off Sunday Night Football in the Meadowlands. and I think Dallas shut the Giants out. They blew them out, and the game was over by the second quarter. And you're wondering, okay, why do we keep on doing this? Yes, they have John Harbaugh. Yes, they have Malik Neighbors. Yes, they have a hell of a defensive line, but they haven't proven that they can play competitive football yet. And that's the big issue here. You want competitive football on prime time. This isn't one of those situations here.
Here's another head scratcher. The Colts travel to Kansas City. So here we are, Patrick Mahomes, less Kansas City, most likely. So we have Justin Fields again.
Versus potentially Anthony Richardson.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Week 3, Rams at Broncos. That could, if Bo Nix is healthy again. All these early primetime games with banged up quarterbacks. I'm sorry, but tell me I'm wrong, but I think the NFL really missed the boat on a lot of these.
They're gambling here, and that's one more game that might be washed if Bo Nix isn't playing.
Yep. Week 4, the Lions are on the road against Carolina, so there's Carolina getting some love, primetime love. And
Carolina deserves it. I mean, they've got a young quarterback. They have a sneaky, fun offense. Carolina deserves a primetime game here or there.
Yes, they do. Ravens in week 5 travel to Atlanta. There's another primetime game for Atlanta. So, like I said, the Falcons defense was just stellar at the end of the year. They really put it together. So that could be a hell of a game as well. Week 5, the Cowboys come up to Green Bay. So Green Bay gets another home primetime game yet again.
Yep. What I will say, we just have to preface this also, because after week 5, we have to remember that flex scheduling, this is where some of those games that are scheduled can be kicked out for a more favorable matchup.
I have a bone to pick with that too.
Why is that?
Okay. So it's expensive, right? Especially if you're a fan of your team and you want to go and treat you and your wife, or you and your kid, or your wife and your kid, and let's go to Green Bay and take on a game, and then it gets switched from a Sunday night to a Sunday afternoon, or
vice versa,
from a Sunday afternoon to a Sunday night, and now you got to change your plans, or maybe even cancel them because it doesn't fit your travel schedule anymore.
Yeah, and I think the NFL just a few years ago, I forgot what game it was that pissed everyone off that they moved it, and it was basically everyone on Twitter was saying, "Hey, why is the NFL doing that?" Oh, right, the NFL will tell "F you" to the fans because of what we talked about earlier. Hey, Jacksonville, Philadelphia fans, they might want to go to Florida and see their team play in Jacksonville. They haven't gone there since 2010. Guess what? You got to wait till 2034 now. I don't think the NFL cares at this point about scheduling plans, because it's the shut up and you'll watch it anyway type attitude, which is true.
Yep. And here, I don't know if week 7 is still too early for Mahomes to either be ready or not, but. So we get Justin Fields traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. So we'll get to see at least 3 losses by the Kansas City Chiefs.
If Mahomes isn't back. And you know what? This is where Andy Reid can really show how great of a all-time head coach he is, because, maybe he sneaks out a win with Justin Fields if Fields is their quarterback still at that point in the season.
He might be cut by then too.
That too.
Week 8, Phil. This is another one of those traditional NFC East matchups that are always on primetime. The Eagles travel to Washington to take on the Commanders and now we're already in November, so that's a November 1st game.
Mm-hmm.
And then week 9, November 8th, is the Tampa at Chicago game.
Yes, and that's actually a good spot for that game. if you're a Bears fan, and for the Bears in general as a whole.
The Steelers take on the Bengals. That's another traditional AFC Central matchup that is on November 15th, November 22nd. This is the Mexico City game. The Vikings are the designated away team against the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about that game. Week 12, this is the Thanksgiving night game against Kansas City and Buffalo. Buffalo, showcasing, again, the new Highmark Stadium. So that'll be a fun game. And hopefully by then, Patrick is back and healthy.
He should be.
And it'll make that for a good game. New England at the Chargers. That's Sunday after Thanksgiving, the 29th. And that could be a highly entertaining game. Houston is traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers for the first game. We're on Sundays. The first December Sunday night game.
That is also a rematch.
The Buffalo Bills in Week 14. Again, guess who's the home team? Again, Green Bay.
Okay.
Man. Lions and Vikings, Week 15. Jaguars at Cowboys, Week 16. And to round out the Sunday night slate prior to Week 18, because we won't know that game will be, the Bears against Minnesota. But Eagles at 49ers.
That's a good one. Rematch of the divisional round playoffs, too.
So there's some really good primetime games this year.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I like. Are we ready to jump into the Bears schedule now?
When you were going to say something, so
what I was going to say was that it also depends on those games look great on paper right now, but it also depends on what goes on Sunday afternoon. I know the saying is I've been waiting all night for Sunday night, waiting all day for Sunday night. But, you might have a fun Sunday of football where you might just be tuckered out by then. Like the Sunday night of Thanksgiving, of Thanksgiving weekend, I am just so footballed out that, you could have Mahomes versus Allen, and it's just so hard to get the motor running for that game on Sunday night because you have football. Now you have football on Wednesday night of Thanksgiving weekend, Thursday, Friday, college football rivalry Saturday, and then NFL Sunday, which is almost like I'm too tired for this.
But before we get into the regular season schedule for the Bears, earlier today I did learn who the Bears preseason opponents are going to be. They play Cincinnati and Cleveland. I believe the Bengals is at home. They play at Cleveland. They play at Tennessee. They only get one home game in the preseason because they have 9 home games during the regular season. So they kick off the year in another shock. We've talked about this for a while now, how everybody and their brother thought that the Bears were going to travel to Seattle in Week 1, but they end up playing in Carolina, which should be a very favorable matchup for them.
It should be. I mean, the one thing that I took away from this game, first and foremost, was the fact that if you said, all right, I'll give you $1 million to pick who the Bears' Week 1 opponent will be and what time and what place, I would not have taken Carolina at 12 o'clock on Sunday. I 100% thought if the Bears aren't playing Seattle on the opening kickoff night that Wednesday, I thought they'd be Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Fox's 325 game, or CBS's 325 game. I did not see this one being a noon kick, especially against a team in Carolina where that could have been an easy Thursday night matchup given the recent history between the two teams, because the one reason why both teams have their number one quarterback is because of the other team. The Panthers have Bryce Young because the Bears traded them the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. The reason why the Bears have Caleb Williams is because the Panthers, what the Panthers gave back to the Bears turned out to be the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. So the storylines were there to where this game could have easily been a primetime game, but that's going to be one of the better noon games in week one. I'm looking forward to it. I think I think the Bears have a good chance of winning that game.
A kind of a fluke in the schedule because it hasn't happened in a while.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears play week 2, 3, and 4, 3 straight home games, including a Monday night primetime Hilton week 3. So let's get into it. They host Minnesota again. There's a lot to play for. First of all, in week 1, you know damn well the Bears are going to talk about all week long how they were snubbed from being in prime time, number 1. So that's going to be a hell of a game. And then week 2, they have the rematch of week 1 from the year before where they blew a 2-score lead to J.J. McCarthy, and was probably his best game as a professional.
Yeah.
And they absolutely blew that game. Then they have the Monday night game against Philadelphia. Then they have a home game against the Jets. So can you say 4-0 before they head to Green Bay?
There is there's a good chance that the Bears can be 4-0 based on how the schedule lines up, because you have favorable matchups against Carolina, Minnesota, and especially New York. Now, New York did have the Jets did have an amazing draft class in last month's NFL draft. They got some really much needed weapons at the skill position and pass catching positions that they were in desperate need of. But other than if the Bears are able to beat the Eagles in what's going to be a very intriguing Monday night game in week 3, you do have a chance to start the season 4-0.
Absolutely. Which then heads us up to Green Bay for week 5 on October 11th. And that could set the tone early for who's chasing whom.
And you're playing
for first place.
And you're playing the Packers, where we've talked about Mahomes, we've talked about Bo Nix, we've talked about all these quarterbacks that might not be ready to go at the beginning of the season. The Packers might be without Micah Parsons to start the season because he tore his ACL in late December, and we don't know what the timeline of his return will be at the beginning of the 2026 season. How fortunate would the Bears be if game week they're like, yeah, Micah Parsons tried to give it a go, but they're going to have to wait one more week to see him on the field? That'd be massive.
Absolutely. They now travel to Atlanta the following week for October 18th in a game that Bears fans always attend games in Atlanta extremely well. So there's going to be a huge Chicago contingent in the stands for that game.
Yes.
After that, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 games where you could easily be 5-1 or 6-0. And then they go into 3 straight primetime games. They have a Thursday night game against New England. Then they have 10 days rest before they play Monday.
11 days
in Seattle. And then they come home for a Sunday night matchup against Tampa. So that's a pretty decent schedule because 2 of them are at home.
Yes. And I mean, that 4 week span works out perfectly for the Bears because 2 of those 3 games you're at home. Um, it's a short week on paper, but you play the Seahawks on Monday Night Football on November 2nd, and then you come home and play the Tampa Bay Bucks on November Sunday night, November 8th. You're not worried about that coming back from the West Coast time loss that most teams will experience because you're not playing Sunday at noon. You're playing Sunday night. So you have 6 extra hours to adjust. And then right after that Sunday night game, guess what? You're on your bye week. So that 4 week stretch, yes, they're playing 3 really good playoff and Super Bowl teams, but it works out because those games are spaced. You're playing a majority of those games at home, and then you have a bye week after all 3 of those games.
And then they get the Saints at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then they travel to Detroit for Thanksgiving. That's going to be a hell of a game. And
it will be.
And when Detroit lit Chicago up in week 2 last year, scoring 51 points. And don't think for a minute that Ben Johnson doesn't have this game.
Ben's going to want that game on Thanksgiving because if he doesn't get a win, he's going to flip the Thanksgiving dinner table over that night. I guarantee it because he wants to beat Detroit so badly after the Lions were able to beat the Bears, one in a blowout, and then a very close contested game. Granted, the Bears really didn't have anything to play for in that season finale last year at home, but they still made it a close game. Ben's going to want that game.
Yeah, after going 0-2 against Detroit, he's got this game earmarked. It's on every whiteboard in Hallis Hall. I guarantee you. You. And then they get some rest before. Obviously, now they have a long week before they get Jacksonville at home, and then they travel. Then they have a Sunday afternoon game in Miami, which now you're wearing that sweatshirt. Here's your chance to let us know why.
Yeah, because I've been making a habit of it to travel to Bears road games the last few years. I went to the 2018 Bears-Dolphins game in Miami. That was the overtime thriller where the Dolphins won in overtime 31-28 on the last second kick in overtime. That game was amazing because it was a back and forth game. Both teams fumbled at their 1 yard line trying to score a touchdown. The Dolphins fumbled at their 1 yard line in overtime trying to score a touchdown to win the game. And I loved it because it was one of those Bear fan invasion games. I had a Dolphins season ticket holder that was sitting next to me. Midway through the third quarter, she leans over to me. She's like, I've been coming to Dolphin games for the last 20 years. I have never seen this many fans from the opposing team show up to a game like this. And that was in October. You think about what's going to happen in December, especially with the Dolphins projected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
The next game is a Saturday game in Buffalo.
Saturday night.
I'm sure the only reason that game is on a Saturday is because they play on Christmas Day, which is a Friday, against Green Bay at home, and then now they have an extra day, 2 extra days of rest before they finish their home schedule against Detroit once again. Only this time it's week 17 and not week 18. And they finish up the year up in Minnesota on what day is that?
That's TBD.
Going to be January 9th or 10th. We don't know how the schedule will pan out. So looks like 12-5 to me. What do you think, Stevie?
I'll say 11-6 just to be on the safe side. Just for the fact that, a lot of the Bears wins are going to come early in the season. Granted, they're very lucky that a lot of the playoff teams they'll be playing this year are going to be coming in the latter part of the season. Again, we talked about this earlier, where yes, Bears have a tough strength of schedule, but it more so matters when you play these teams. For instance, you're playing Green Bay early in the season when they might be without Micah Parsons, well, and also where you don't have to worry about the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field because last year when they played Green Bay in Green Bay, it was an early December game and it was single digit temperatures.
Yeah,
You're not going to have to worry.
And you were
not going
at
to.
that game too.
I was, and oddly enough, I didn't freeze as bad as I thought I would. Additionally, you get to have Jacksonville come to a potentially cold Chicago environment in early December, because that might be a situation where Trevor Lawrence, who's grown up playing warm weather football his entire professional career, might come to Chicago and it might be 25 and negative wind chills. Who knows? Stuff like that. It's being able to play Seattle in the middle of the season, playing on Monday night, not having to worry about time zone, being able to come back and play your game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night. You play the Bills on a Saturday night, where it's a little bit more favorable of an environment compared to Sunday night. Maybe do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, I like the schedule. It lines up really good for the Bears, especially the start of the first half of that schedule, where they might have a chance to be 6-1, if not, because they play New England 6-1, and then even if you lose if you go on a 3-game losing streak, you still have a chance to be 6-4 and still have a few games where you could pick it back up per se.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, that wraps it up for our schedule show tonight. I want to say a special thank you to Stevie's fan club.
Thank you guys as well.
A lot of fun. I think we're going to name this the Stevie Pusch Show from now on. But okay, hey guys, we really appreciate all your comments. Just next time, stick around for the whole show because they were kind of in and out for the evening. But we've got mini camps, we've got OTAs, we've got the mandatory camp coming up next month. We still do not know the dates of training camp up in Lake Forest, but hopefully we can get Drew and his daughter on the show the next time we get ready. So any last words for your fan club?
No, thank you guys as always for the support. I've been very fortunate that everyone tunes in to watch our podcast. I'm also hoping that when we get to do this again around training camp time, we also have the return of Drew, because I think Drew will be itching to talk some football and take some break from his fatherly duties.
We definitely can't wait for Papa Drew to rejoin the show. With that, this is on behalf of my partner Stevie Pusch. This is Mike Halatek signing off for now. We will talk to you soon. Have a great night, everybody.